include coverage of last night's Sagersville City Council meeting, also 2 more meth-related arrests that I only alluded to last night in Magoffin County, as well as a structure fire that claimed and destroyed a home and all of the occupants and owners' belongings this morning. I've got some video just in. And also the library board meeting of Magoffin County earlier today, where I've been keeping you up to date on what we had learned of just recently, as was a recent vote, which actually took place, we're now learning, back in September, to demolish the old Sagersville First Baptist Church building, which may have been just days away from being torn down. There was discussion on both sides of that argument today during the meeting, and I'll air as much as time will allow this evening and tell you what the final outcome of the meeting was. Before that, a lot of other ground to cover. Election Day. Well, they were actually hoping, I told you as of last evening, state officials were predicting a dismal 10% of voter turnout. Magoffin County was expected to have a bit higher than that. As far as voter turnout, we don't have any numbers whatsoever at the 6 o'clock hour for you, as polls are just closing, and most are closing. No lines that we know of. I know that in Ward 1, there have been about 90 individuals vote as of around 4 o'clock, which is considerably lower than, of course, what we saw in November. We'll have a complete rundown of how Magoffin, Johnson, and other counties in Kentucky voted on tomorrow's program, as polls are just closed. Meanwhile, a couple of reports before we get to local headlines, and the first has to do with some cancer charities which were not all that charitable at all. Attorney General Jack Conway, together with state law enforcement partners in several other states, actually every other state in the nation, the District of Columbia, and the Federal Trade Commission have all jointly filed a federal lawsuit against 4 phony cancer charities and the people who operate them, who allegedly scammed nearly $200 million from consumers across this United States. The joint complaint alleges that the defendants, including Cancer Fund of America, Children's Cancer Fund of America, Cancer Support Services, and the Breast Cancer Society, each and all portrayed themselves as donors, rather portrayed themselves to donors, mind you, as legitimate charities with substantial nationwide programs whose primary purposes were to provide direct support to cancer patients, children with cancer, and breast cancer patients in the United States. In fact, the overwhelming majority of consumers' contributions benefited only the perpetrators, their families and their friends, and professional fundraisers who often received 85% or more, sometimes and many times more, out of every single donation. Consumers' donations were wasted, they say, and misused. Cancer victims were not helped, and the representations that defendants were legitimate charities were just out and out false. Among other things, defendants or their telemarketers often told donors that their contributions would be used to provide pain medication to children who were suffering from cancer, transport cancer patients to chemotherapy appointments, and to pay for hospice care for those patients. These, however, were just out and out lies. The defendants did not operate programs that provided any of those services. And one example was cited with the Cancer Fund of America. They say, per verbatim from Attorney General Conway, a very bad, serial bad actor who has previously been sued 6 times by different states since it was formed way back in 1987. $187 million is the exact amount they are alleging right now that they've scammed from consumers over the course of the years. If you're on the roads, you're going to see them, and if you're on the roads, make sure you buckle up and, of course, are attentive and not under the influence, because the Kentucky State Police is participating in a widespread combined enforcement effort with other state police agencies to target seatbelt use and proper child safety seat use. The combined initiative, known as the 6 State Trooper Project, is already in effect. It started yesterday, goes through this time next week, the end of Memorial Day. In addition to the Kentucky State Police, other states, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Indiana, West Virginia, Michigan, all participating in an effort to get everyone to and fro safely throughout the Memorial Day holiday. Seatbelts can save your chances of survival by up to 60%. An unbelted person hitting a windshield in a 40-mile-per-hour crash would feel the same force as if they hit the ground after falling off a 5-story building. And something else to encourage you, Kentuckians pay over $2 billion each year for crash victims. Citizens not involved in crashes pay 3/4 of that cost. And in Kentucky in 2014, of the 672 total fatalities, on the highways, 521 were in motor vehicles, and of those, 319, or 61% roughly, were not wearing their seatbelt. While we're on the topic of safely traveling, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration today says that Takata Corporation of Japan has agreed to recall roughly 34 million vehicles because of defective airbags, in the largest recall in the agency's history. Amid mounting pressure and fines that the agency has levied over the past year, the company is facing fines of $14,000 a day, has been for a while. They now owe well over $1.2 million, I am told. The faulty airbags have been linked to a half a dozen deaths, more than 100 injuries, and it's believed that those numbers are both very, very modest. Many of Takata's airbags, they can say, can explode with so much force that there's a canister made of metal inside that also explodes. Shrapnel has struck several individuals. They've died or been injured as a result. And with this recall, the numbers of those injuries, they are expected to climb. Now, they were also parts of a recall in several other manufacturers already. Honda and Toyota have already recalled about 17 million vehicles with those very same airbags intact in some of their models. Local headlines begin with 2 meth arrests in McGoffin County. 2 Johnson County men, the latest in a string of meth arrests that I've covered in the past several days. And we've got some video just in of a structure fire early this morning that completely destroyed a McGoffin County home. Stay tuned.
To get high-speed internet on their state-of-the-art fiber optic network for all of your home and business solutions, or to watch TV without a contract on over 200 digital channels with superb quality, or stay connected with family and friends with 24/7 telephone service you can always depend on, contact Foothills Broadband today. Or just click on their link to the right to find out how they're working to provide the latest in communications at affordable prices with exceptional service at Foothills Broadband.
Officer Mike Nichols with the Sagersville Police Department says that Sunday night he got behind a vehicle and noticed what he thought was the driver and passenger acting rather strange, and upon following the vehicle into a local gas station parking lot, he questioned both individuals and then summoned the Kentucky State Police for assistance.
The driver and the passenger, both, I'm told, from the Johnson County area. We understand that after Nichols approached the vehicle, both appearing jittery, twitching, and after the arrival of the Kentucky State Police, field sobriety tests were given. The driver failed. He was charged with various charges, as you see to the right of your screen: driving under the influence, possession of methamphetamine, no insurance, no registration plates, no seatbelts, no transfer of the vehicle, and other traffic violations as well. He was identified as 45-year-old Howard Smith of Hager Hill. He was still lodged in the Big Sandy Regional Jail as of airtime. The passenger was also identified as a Casey Collier by Nichols, who was charged with public intoxication and failure to wear a seatbelt and at least one other charge. He also was said to have been in possession of some needles with no caps, and that the twitching that he was showing was the fact that he was moving and those needles were poking him. The authorities found the needles without actually being struck themselves, but he too was lodged in the Big Sandy Regional Detention Center. Just 2, even though one of them was a meth-related arrest. Just 2 of the latest arrests surrounding methamphetamine out of more than a dozen that I have covered, well more than a dozen in just the past couple of weeks here in McGoffin County, and we expect to have an update on a few of those arrests very soon.
Some video brought into us of a structure fire early this morning. I was not in Sagersville at the time of the blaze, but fortunately we have a viewer who has forwarded us the following video of a home in the southern part of our county, specifically in the Meadows Branch area, belonging to a Mr. and Mrs. Kevin LeMaster and their family, the home which was completely destroyed by the AM blaze.
I just got off the phone with the District 3 Fire Chief, Jim Joseph, a few moments ago. He tells me that his department was summoned at around 7:30 this morning to a home in the Meadows area off of Central Avenue, a home belonging to Kevin LeMaster and his family. We understand that no one was inside the home and no one actually home with the exception of Kevin LeMaster. He told the fire department that he was outside plowing the garden when he smelled smoke. And when he turned to see where it was coming from, he realized that it was his 2-story residence. He ran towards the home, and he also told Joseph that when he opened the door, the force literally blew him backwards. And that sudden gust of air was able to feed the fire. Flames, I'm told, 20 to 30 feet through the roof at one point. Fortunately, no injuries were sustained by Mr. Joseph or any of the firemen who responded as well. However, the home was a complete and total loss. As for where and how it started, that is still trying to be determined and may never be. Mr. LeMaster said that he believed that it may have been around the electrical box. They had been remodeling the home, and there was a great deal of work that had been done to the structure and was still in the process. The District 3 Fire Department was also aided by the South McGoffin Fire Department, and all 5 trucks responded to the scene, but to no avail. The home completely damaged by the fire, as well as the smoke and subsequent water damage. We are told that the LeMasters did have some insurance, but it's not known yet if it will be enough to help them recover from their losses, in which everything that they had was destroyed.
Up next, tonight's McGoffin Farm Bureau-sponsored community calendar.
And we're looking for a dog. We're looking for this dog. Its owner says it's been missing from the Burning Fork area now for some time. And if you've got any information, contact Amy Collinsworth on Facebook. She is on Facebook like everyone else, and I'm sure if you see another Amy Collinsworth, look for the one with the pictures of this dog. You can also call us, and we'll get in touch with her if you have any information. But the lost dog last seen around its home in the Burning Fork community, and your help will be much appreciated. From dogs to days, birthdays, that is. Our next calendar announcement is a happy birthday wish to Peggy Combs with a lot of love from Jill, from Mackenzie, from Jerica, from Daryl, from Chris, and from Autumn. Happy, happy birthday, Peggy. And a happy birthday wish tonight to Hunter Howard from your granddaddy Allison and Sherry. Happy birthday to you, Hunter. And this just in, plans for a big horse show sponsored by the McGoffin County High School dance team and the boys basketball team, Saturday, June the 6th. I count 28 classes. Gates will open at 4:30. Just $5 to get in the gate. If you've got any questions, call dance coach Andrea Preston at 496-5557. So this is a couple of weeks away, or maybe a little longer, I guess. And it's a horse show sponsored by the McGoffin County High School dance team. Remember, June the 6th. I'll remind you when it gets a bit closer, but mark it down. If you have any questions about any of the classes, prizes, or anything else, call 496-5557. And before I go to tonight's obituaries, a quick reminder, this is how you call me, or fax, email, Facebook, or how you can also drop your calendar announcements off at the studio here on East Maple Street above the Sagersville Post Office for free. That's birthdays and anniversaries, too. I have 2 incomplete announcements that have come into the office this afternoon. One in honor of Dr. John Hall. He was the son of the late Lloyd M. Hall and Virginia Hall of Sagersville. Arrangements are incomplete at this hour, but they are being made by the family. I'll announce them as soon as they have been. And also, 55-year-old Pansy Miller of Sagersville has passed away on today's date. Arrangements, too, are incomplete at this time. They'll be announced by the McGoffin County Funeral Home as soon as they are made. We hope to have those for you on tomorrow's program.
Hey guys, Jason Weffenstedt, sales manager at the all-new Hutch Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Paintsville, Kentucky. Where as you can tell behind me, we're just weeks away from opening our brand new dealership, and we want to invite everybody down to take a test drive and be entered to win a free vacation package from Hutch Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Paintsville, Kentucky.
They're only weeks away from their grand opening, but they're open for business today. So come in and get entered for a vacation package to be given away at the brand new Hutch Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Paintsville. 297-5066. To get high-speed internet on their state-of-the-art fiber optic network for all of your home and business solutions, or to watch TV without a contract on over 200 digital channels with superb quality, or stay connected with family and friends with 24/7 telephone service you can always depend on, contact Foothills Broadband today. Or just click on their link to the right to find out how they're working to provide the latest in communications at affordable prices with exceptional service at Foothills Broadband.
Got reports on 2 local meetings tonight, the Sagersville City Council and the McGoffin County Library Board. We'll begin with the latter and get you caught up to date on an ongoing story that I first told you about after board member David Bearmay, as we most all know him, sent us a letter that he had penned and sent to this and at least one other reporting institution. I aired it that same day. A letter stating his situation and intentions as it pertained to his position on the McGoffin County Library Board. He says that after being reappointed after a long time or hiatus of not being on the board, he came into the first meeting of which there was a vote, and that vote, he said, was to tear down or demolish the old Sangersville First Baptist Church building, which was purchased with coal severance funds under the premise that it will be used for a new McGoffin County Public Library to be remodeled and reused for that very purpose. And then after that weighing on him that evening, he realized that he had just supported, he said in his letter that I read verbatim on that program, supported the demolition of a historic structure, and that his intentions were to, in the next regular meeting, which was this morning at 10 a.m., to ask for a 6-month stay in plans for demolition, which may have been just days away, in order to find an alternative to saving that structure and finding a better place or a more suitable habitat for the future McGoffin County Public Library.
The meeting began with a recap, so to speak, on behalf of Library Board member Ronnie Gullett, who spoke of the tireless work over the course of several years now, about 9 that they have had control of the old Sangersville First Baptist Church building, to get out of the small and inadequate building that currently houses the McGoffin County Public Library. He reflected on how the First Baptist Church built a new church and put the original structure up for sale, and that several members lobbied Frankfort and Senator Stivers to get $650,000 in coal severance funds for the Library Board, and then a deal was worked out for $450,000 to purchase the old Sangersville First Baptist Church, an additional $200,000 to go toward the project of remodeling it to make it the new home of the future McGoffin County Public Library.
We have a new health department, we have a new extension office. What else? Anything else anybody think about?
Everything but a library.
City Hall's in good shape over there. And here we are with our library. We negotiated, or this board negotiated a buying price of $450,000. That was high, ridiculously high, but that's what they would take. And we kept $200,000 to go toward the renovation of the church. We pretty shortly advertised for architectural companies or bids to come in and give us a presentation of what they would do to renovate the old church and to add on to whatever we needed to do to make the facility that would be suitable for our purposes. I think you have some of the drawings of the original plan. It's up here on the picture outside the old church. We intended to renovate, the original plans were to tear down the kitchen section of the old church, that part, and build a wing out and then down toward the river for a new section, renovate the sanctuary to be used for a reading room or whatever. To go in there and to shore up the foundation or the floor would have been pretty well cost prohibitive, and besides that, the downstairs section is about 18 inches under the floodplain, so we really couldn't do anything to use that as a meeting room or anything like that, or all we could have done would have been to store some stuff down there or whatever.
Gullett explained that further survey revealed that there were sewer and other utilities underground the structure that further complicated things, and that their only other alternative, was to demolish the original structure and start from scratch. A total of $4 million for a new building. $1 million, he says, they've been able to save over the years, and they plan on bonding out another $3 million. And there was also a vote in a previous meeting already held to tear down the structure. They've already removed the asbestos. They have demolition crews and agreements ready to begin just in possible days. The building has since sat idle for about 9 years. He explained that the roof had not been repaired or tended to, gutters have fallen off, eaves have rotted out, and that there were other serious structural issues since the church had moved out and the library had control of it. One of the several individuals voicing their concerns over the past several days about trying to save the structure, however, was our own mother here at the newsroom, obviously, and Sue Mortimer, who was one of those in attendance this morning.
I would like for you to respond to this, please. My question is, how in the world and why, if that church were not there as of this moment, the property is not nearly big enough to put that beautiful big building on. There's no parking. You know, you've got a facility there. I mean, that place needs to be, it's awesome. You all have done a beautiful job. I love it. I'd like to live in it. It's so pretty, really. But it just seems to me that that would be much better just to abandon that location. Just because you've got it, you spent $450,000 on a piece of dirt, doesn't mean that you should take something that beautiful and that important to the community and try to stop it into a little spot where they can't get parking. I don't know how the state's even letting this happen because, you know, trouble we've had with in the past, you know, if you had to have so many square feet based on your population, then you got to have so much parking to accommodate that. You know, we've kicked this around and we've looked at other things, and I know y'all have worked hard on this, and your goal was to try to get something to put there. I know that's what you had to focus on, and you know your intention was to take this and remodel what you had and go with it. And that was well intended, certainly. But you know the situation as you dig into it, you see things change. You learn things that you didn't know, and we were talking about, you know, this property up on Parkway Drive that the county purchased about a year ago or so. And it's a huge piece of property. It would overlook the parkway. It has all the utilities there. Every person that came up and down the parkway would see that structure. And it would be a true asset for the community. You'd have parking galore. There's still room for other things to be put there beside it. It's a huge, and we could have a welcome center put in there with it, you know, or close to it or something like that. It's just, you're putting it in a place where it doesn't fit. You're putting it in a place where it can't be expanded as far as the usage of it. You can't have larger functions or meetings down there because there's no place to park the people. And I would just ask that you all look at this, and you know, you've got so far with something so wonderful, but it seems a shame that we don't try to find a way to put it in a better location. Now that being said, to tear down something that's an actual monument to this community, I think it's tragic. I think it's tragic, and maybe it doesn't have a use right now. Maybe it's going to take a lot of money, but you know, that's our history. And it just seems like it's such a shame just to take it down instead of saying, well, let's see what we can do to save that. Let's have the library. Let's make this a wonderful facility for the community. Because heaven knows you need it here. This has been deplorable for a long time here. But it seems to me that if the board could just back up and look at this and try to find a way to make it work to the very best of its ability.
And there was a great deal of discussion. The meeting lasted better than an hour, certainly. And after some discussion, board member David May made a motion to do just that and to try to table it for 6 months while they found alternatives. He said that it was also at risk of losing federal funding should they tear down what is potentially a historical structure or could be deemed as such. However, his motion to table it for 6 months died for lack of a second. After a brief pause, however, Ronnie Gold of the Library Board did make another motion. He made a motion to give the building basically a stay of execution, if you will, for 30 days.
I have thought about it. You know, I don't think it'll do any good, but I would entertain a motion that we postpone the letting of or allowing them to let the contracts for 30 days or until our next regular board meeting to give somebody a chance to try to come up with a solution. 30 days or our next regular call meeting. If you could find a buyer, or if you could find a suitable location that somebody would be willing to trade off equal value, I would not be opposed to that. But I prefer to keep it downtown here. And I think that location out there would be ideal, and I think what they come up with here would be an asset to everyone.
I'll second that motion.
Motion been made and second.
That motion was approved, and I also say that I expect that the fiscal court will weigh in on the matter on tomorrow's meeting, of which we'll have a following report either tomorrow or the next day. And we'll keep you up to date on all the happenings within the library board and this project as it continues to go in whatever direction. With that said, here's the most brief of forecasts. Because I am indeed out of time, city council coverage and other news tomorrow. With that said, a beautiful evening out there, an ultimate low of 47. Some patchy, dense fog after 2 a.m., but mostly clear skies above. And we'll go as far as tomorrow and say that we'll have that same patchy, dense fog to start you off on your Wednesday. Mostly sunny and 71. We will see temperatures fall back a degree or two Thursday, but then they'll start to climb slowly back towards the 80-degree mark for what is an improving Memorial Day forecast that I'll tell you much more about on tomorrow's program. For now, thank you for watching, and have a good night.